What's up, guys? Brian Peacock back once again, Epic Outdoor Adventures. Let's talk peppers today. Peppers. Um, these peppers here, you can see they have little curly leaves happening. This here is from having a little too much water. We've had some rain. I watered them right before we got rain, and so they've had just a little bit too much rain here in the last week. So therefore they have some wrinkly looking leaves. That's totally normal, and it'll slowly dissipate as it dries out. Just refrain on watering a little bit, let them dry back out again. Peppers tend to like it a little drier than most other plants. Not bone dry, of course, but they don't like it really wet, really soggy for long periods of time. Okay, so you don't have to water peppers as much as, say, tomatoes or like zucchinis and melons and things like that. Okay, peppers are a self-pollinating plant. Okay, they self-pollinate with these little white flowers there, and these are in the nightshade family, the same as potatoes and tomatoes and the deadly nightshade, of course. But everything on these plants are poisonous as far as the greenery wise, stalk, root, leaves. We can't eat this stuff, but we can eat the fruits. And this is a self-pollinator, so it has a male and a female flower all in one, and it only takes some vibration to release that pollen and fertilize the female. So all you have to do is just tap them a little bit like this, or you can shake the whole thing and that will fertilize your plants. The wind naturally does it. The rain and wind shaking the plant actually does it naturally. You can also use an electric toothbrush and just use the back of it to the stems, and the vibration really works well for that as well. I see a lot of people do that. I've never done that part, but I've seen it done. Peppers don't get really big unless you overwinter them, but you can see here we got some peppers growing down here. Now, some people asked, do I top my peppers or do I let them grow? All right, good question. Topping. This is what topping is. Topping is when it splits in two. So when you top a plant, I would come up here to, say, right here, and I would just cut this off right here on the top of this plant before, and then this would split into two plants right there where I top it. That's the idea of topping. All right, so you can come here and top it, and then I came here and I topped again, so it broke it off into fours, and then I topped again into eights, so it bushes your plants out. Okay, now you can bush your plants out to get more blossoms, to get more fruits, and they won't be as big of fruits because you're going to have more fruits. All right, so that you don't need them huge peppers if you have a bunch of little peppers. What difference does it make how big they are? All right, so I mean, they still get pretty decent size, but they just won't be them really huge ones. So it also, the downfall of it is also it takes a lot longer to do this process. So if you have short growing seasons, don't top your peppers, just leave them alone. All right. If you have a longer season, or if you overwinter them and bring them back out the next year, which peppers you can do that, all right, you can top them and bush them out and get them bigger to be able to get more fruits that way. All right, so I was living in western North Carolina. We had a short growing season. Peppers take a very long time to grow. They take a long time to start and get going, and they take heat to really get moving. They like it in the 70s and 80s, and you know, anything under 50 degrees is really not growing with a pepper. It won't die, but it's just going to be dormant. It's not going to move. So it's really hard to get peppers going in the shorter climates, and so I normally top half of my crops and then I leave a couple alone. That way I have peppers come in earlier on those other plants that I can use while the other ones are still bushing out to get bigger. So that's what I normally do. So try topping and bushing out your plants on a few plants if you have them, and see which way you like to do it. Either way is good. You don't have to top a plant, but you know, in some cases it's a lot better and you can get a lot more for it. Let's see. Blooms. Do I pull my blooms off when I have small pepper plants? You can pull those blooms off. Pulling blooms off early in a small plant will promote growth in the plant without pushing energy into fruiting. It'll push all its energy into growing, and it'll push energy into root development. So early on, when you either transplant them, or if they're really small before you even transplant them, and they start to get buds on them, you know, go ahead and just pluck all those buds off. Every single one of them, pull them off. You're not going to hurt the plant. And that will push energy into the roots to really establish itself really good into the ground or the pot that you've planted it in. And it'll also give all the energy into promoting more leaf growth and more growth to get taller before you start to fruit. So you want a strong plant to be able to have a strong base to hold up all the fruits that you want to grow. So if you have too small or a too skinny and weak plant, and you start growing a bunch of fruits on here and they start getting big, they start weighing down, and you can snap your plants and it'll just give out. All right, so yes, you can pull the blooms off early, but you don't have to keep doing that unless you're trying to really grow big pepper plants. And that's totally up to you. If you have a long season, if you're down in Florida, Texas, things like that, and you have really long seasons, you can pull blooms off a few sets as they go up, and then really get your peppers really big and bushy. But I don't have a long enough season to do that, so my peppers stay pretty small. I usually don't ever really get any higher than 2 foot or so. And then I bush them out a little bit. So this is about medium size now, and they'll get about twice this big, maybe 3 times this big by the end of the summer. So I have tons of fruits on here already, as you can see. There's all kinds of peppers coming in on all these. So yeah, I feed my peppers with I have a potting soil mix. I have these in 3-gallon pots, or these might be 5. I don't know if these are 5 or 3s, but I typically stay with a 3 to 5-gallon pot for the peppers. And I use a potting soil with perlite always in there. I think I use like Fox Farm or something like that. Potting soil this time. The Pro Mix is really well, works good. I like to get Pro Mix because it doesn't have any fertilizer in it already, and I use my own. I use the Dr. Earth tomato and veggie blends, and I also use some worm castings, as well as just some regular compost. And then I have it mulched on the top to be able to stop evaporation of water to dry these out too much. Remember, in pots you have to water a little more than you would in the ground. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit about peppers for you guys. If you have any more questions, please comment below. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We love to have you, and you know, comment away, share away, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.